Welcome to my Minecraft inspired fox video. Let's get started with what you're going to need. You're going to need some core wool. I am using this fox color from Cupid Falls Farms. This bear color, also from Cupid Falls Farms. Some white from Lion Gate Farm. This is just some black. All right, so we're going to get started here by making a cylinder shape for the body. I apologize in advance that this video is different from my normal videos. This was a Christmas present, and instead of recording all the steps live, I decided to, in order to get it done fairly quickly, I just recorded it, and then I'm doing a voiceover. And there will be some spots here that I speed up just because it's repetitive poking. But I am using my 36 triangle needle here to get this started. And we're going to pop into it a little bit faster here. Basically, right now I'm just getting it somewhat firmed up. I'm going to focus on flattening both of the ends. And this ends up being a little bit longer than what I want it to be. You will see further in the video where I actually trim this down. It'll be 2 inches when I get done here, but I take off like about a half of an inch or so further in because it's just a little bit too long once I get the head made. So I'm switching over to my clover tool here. It's got 240 spiral needles in it just to help things go a little bit quicker here. And we're just, at the moment, doing a cylinder shape. And then what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to flatten out the sides because we want it to be a cube shape or rectangular shape, whatever. I do need to add a little bit more to one side because it's a little bit thinner than the other. So that's what I'm doing here. And we'll just keep poking away until it gets somewhat together, and then I'm going to start to flatten out the sides. So what I like to do is to use my hands to start to get the shape that I want. So you saw me there just kind of squishing in the sides. Gonna flatten the ends a little bit more, and then I will start to work on the sides and get them squared. So I'm going to take one side and I'm just going to go down it, back and forth. And I'm going to turn it and do the next side. And I'm just going to keep going over that around it, and then you'll start to see how it starts to give it a square shape just by going back and forth on the sides. Use your hands to work it in a little bit. Okay, so you can kind of see that we have now a cube shape. It is 1 inch across and 2 inches long, but like I said, I do end up taking off about half of an inch there when I start. Once I get my head made, you'll see that, how I do that. So just gonna tidy it up a little bit more here. The 240 spiral needles eventually get a little hard to go in, so I switch down to my 38 needle. Don't want it to be really hard because we still need to add our top coat to it. All right, now we're going to work on the head. So I'm making a ball here, and I'm just gonna, at the moment, just work on, do the ball shape, and then I will start to square it off and make a cube. But I like to do a ball first so I can kind of get a good size, know that I have the right size that I want to use, and it'll be a little bit easier to turn it into a cube from the ball, so all the sides are the same. So once I have a ball shape, I will start to use my hands to start to flatten the edges and start my cube. So you can see it did that. See how I'm kind of rotating it, and then once I figure out where my sides are going to be, I'll do the same thing that I did with the body and just start to flatten each of the sides. Use your hands periodically to keep your shape going, and it's not too hard to do. See how I'm constantly turning it, shaping it with my hands, and then go back over it with my needles. Okay, so I'm pretty good with the shape of it here. I'm just going to compare it to the body, see if we're close to the same size. I don't want it to be too much bigger or smaller than the body, so we're just going to firm it up a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm figuring out where I want to place the head. I am going to, here I am going to trim it a little bit. This is where I'm going to take off about a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. So I'm just using some very sharp scissors and cutting through. And then figuring out where I want to place the head. And I am going to cut into the body and set it down in there. So I'm going to take my disappearing ink pen and I'm going to mark down about halfway on the side, because I'm going to cut that away for the head. So the head's not going to be sitting directly on the very top of the body. It'll be down a little bit. I'm just measuring here so I can get both sides the same. And I'll be cutting away this section of the body. Again, you're going to want some sharp scissors that's the pen that I used. I do have a link for that in my Amazon shop, which there's a link to my Amazon shop down below in the description. And I forgot to do the front, so I just had to go back and do the front. So these are really sharp scissors, and I'm just going to start to cut along those lines and not go too deep. You want to keep it your cuts fairly shallow, because I don't want to go beyond where I have the lines there. All right, now that I got that little piece out of there, I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit with my needle, and then we are going to attach the head. So I'm going to hold on to it, and I'm going to start poking from the head to the body and the body to the head, just going all the way around to get it to hold, because we're going to put the top coat over this, and when I do that, that'll get it all nice and together so it doesn't come apart. But here I am just going over it enough to hold it in place. All right, now I have it holding, and I'm going to get my top coat here, and we're just going to start to cover this all over. And I will speed this part up because you don't need to watch me stab over and over again. So this next part will be a little bit faster, and I just go around and cover it all, and then once I have it all covered, I will get it all nice and smooth, go over it all, and I will come back once we have the top coat on. Okay, now that we have the top coat on, I'm going to pull out some of the white so we can make the muzzle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just making a small ball, and I'm going to start and get that felted down. One thing that I like to do when I'm doing something small like this is either hold it with some finger guards or use another needle to just kind of hold it in place as I'm working it. Just be careful that you don't stab too hard and break your needle against the other needle. So I'm just trying to get it together here using my 36 triangle needle. Once I get it to somewhat hold together, I'm going to roll it in my hands like you're rolling a ball of clay. This will help to felt it. I'm just going to check the size here, see if we're doing good size-wise. I'm going to start, I want to make this a cube shape, because remember we're doing Minecraft. So I just started to use my hands, like we did for the head, to start to flatten out the sides. And I'm going to go around. I find it's easier to work on opposite sides to start with, so you know where your two sides are, and then work my way around. So I am holding it with the other needle here, and then I'm just going to work my way around and make a cube shape. Takes a little patience, especially with something this small, but you can do it. And then also don't forget to like manipulate it within your hands, because that'll help with the shaping as well. So you'll see me do that pretty regularly. So I'm pretty happy with the shape. Now I'm just going to go over it and firm it up. Just be really careful, know where your fingers are. Just gonna compare it to the head, make sure that we have good size. That's looking pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to make the little white across the, I don't know what you would call it, the white that runs across the bottom of his head there. His little mustache or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to start with just taking a little bit of white, and I'm going to start to felt it on my mat. Just a little bit. So I'm going to bring over the ends, because this is just going to go across the front and bottom of his head. Get the little pieces out of there. So I'm gonna attach it to the head. I'm just gonna run along from one side to the other. right, now we're going to add his muzzle. Just trimming some stray fibers off of this. This is a very wiry wool. So just kind of figuring out what side I want to be sticking out. And I'm going to put that right over that white strip that we did. And I'm going to take a pin here and just stick it in there to hold it in place. A little bit easier to have an extra hand or pin there to help you hold it while you get it placed right and when you start to felt it in. So I'm just going to take my needle now and I'm going to go around the base of it and poke it into the head. Just be careful if you have a pin in there that you're aware of where that pin is because your needle can hit it and break. So just use some caution as you're going around. Then once you have it somewhat attached, you can unpin it and then go around it a few more times. I am pushing this in a little bit because I thought it kind of was sticking out a little bit too far. So you can see how I'm kind of squishing it in and I'm felting up down from higher up and then down, which is kind of pushing it down a little bit. Make sure I keep my square shape though. All right, now we're going to get some black out so we can do his nose and his eyes. So I'm just going to pull off a little bit and I'm just going to roll it in my fingers here and then put it on, clean up a few stray fibers there. I'm going to put it on the muzzle. I'm going to try and make this a square. I'm not too concerned if it doesn't come out perfectly square. I think I do a pretty good job, and just by manipulating the wool a little bit as I'm poking it in to get the desired shape. you can poke from the white in towards the black to help firm or to straighten up your sides a little bit. It's kind of square. I'm just kind of using my fingernails there to square it off a little bit more, but I'm not totally concerned if it's perfectly square. All right, so we're going to do the same thing for the eyes now. So I'm going to take 2 pieces of wool that are about the same size and roll them in my hands to make little balls to start. Make sure that I have about the same amount of wool for each. So once I get done rolling them here, I'll pop them onto my mat, and they feel pretty close to the same size. So we're going to attach them the same way we did the nose. And again, I'm going to try and make a square shape with them. And I'm putting them, if you can see, I'm putting them right at the corner of the muzzle. The next thing we're going to do is his legs. So I'm going to pull out 4 pieces of wool here that are about the same size. And I will show you how to do one leg. And then I'm going to skip ahead because you don't need to watch me make all 4 of them. So I'll show you how to do one. So I'm just going to lay it down on my mat and I'm going to roll it up. They don't need to be very big. I end up actually trimming them down quite a bit because they end up being way too tall. So I probably could have like done rolled up one of these and then cut it in half to make the legs, but it is what it is. So I just roll it up and now I'm just going to firm it with my needle. Just going to keep turning it. Now it is supposed to be rectangular in shape. I kind of get these somewhat, but they're so small that honestly, it really doesn't matter. So I am trying to get that cube shape by working on the sides here. I'll do a second one here for you, and then I think I clipped the video to not do the last 2. Okay, now I have all 4 of them done, so I'm going to show you on one of them what I'm going to do. So I'm going to fold up the end on one side, and I'm going to felt that down, and I want the bottom to be flat. Sorry if you hear my parakeet Sunny in the background. She has decided to chime in with her 2 cents. So I'm flattening the bottom, just kind of working it around, the end folded up. Trying to kind of make it a rectangular shape with my fingers here. Then I'm going to take that darker brown color that we pulled out earlier, and I'm going to pull just a little bit out. And I'm going to do like we did with the white on the face. I'm going to felt it a little bit on the mat first. It's not very big. And then we're going to put this around the bottom of the foot here. And I'm kind of hanging, it's hard to see here, but I'm hanging it off the end a little bit so I can bring it around to the bottom of the foot and then felt that in. So just working it around. And then tucking the ends in across the bottom. Just trying to square it up here a little bit with my fingers. That works a little bit better than using needles because it is so small. And then I'm going to compare it to my fox and see how it's going to look. I think that's going to look okay. So I'm going to go do the other ones and come back when they're all done. Oh, look at that. Magic of video. So they are a bit taller than I want them to be, so I am going to trim them. And I actually end up trimming them one more time because they are just a bit too tall. So I'm just going to compare the rest of them to the first one and get them all trimmed up. I could put them on without trimming them, but there was just too much overhang. Like I said, I probably could have like just rolled one out and cut it in half and then, you know, pulled up the bottom and stuff like that. But it is what it is. You learn with each one. All right, so I'm going to put it on here, but then I think I'm going to decide that it's just a tad bit too long. And I think I end up trimming it again. I think I get a measurement for you here in a second. Yep, I'm gonna give it another trim. And we're just not quite 3/4 of an inch, between 1/2 and 3/4. So we're gonna trim the rest of them all to the same size. And I just eyeballed this to get an idea of what I thought looked right. So I'm just poking around the top of that leg. You could use pins again if you needed to hold your legs in place. Just seeing how it looks. Try and get the position right. So I'm poking from the leg into the body just to get it to hold. And then we're going to wrap it. We'll wrap some wool around the top, and that'll help to hold them in place. So I'm just going to get a little bit of wool and just wrap the very top part of the leg and poke it between the leg and the body to give it a little bit more stability there. So I've just sped up the film a little bit here just to make this part go a little bit quicker. All I'm doing is just firming up those pieces that I'm wrapping around the top part of the leg, trying to make sure that they stay pretty much the same thickness. So that's all I'm doing here. Gonna add the back legs now. Same thing. Attach it and then wrap it with some of the wool. Sorry, I kind of go off the screen here a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to know where I am, especially if I'm doing something that I really need to see. I tend to pull it a little bit closer to me, and forget that I need to stay in the camera, so I apologize for that. All right, the legs are all on. I'm just checking to make sure that it stands okay. Give it a few more wraps. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make his tail. So I'm going to take some more wool here, and we're going to do pretty much the same thing that we did for the legs. We're going to roll a tube, only we're going to make it a bit thicker than we did the legs. So I'm going to roll this up, get it attached. I'm going to add some more to bulk it up a little bit more. Thought it was going to be too thin here, so we're going to roll up some more wool. So once again, we want it kind of squared, so I'm just using my fingers to try and make it a rectangular shape, and then I'll use my needles to go around the sides of it. We're going to check it to our fox, make sure I like the length of it. Work on firming it up a little bit more. Now we want to tip the end of the tail with some white. So I'm going to pull off a little bit, and we're going to do like we did with the legs. We're going to felt it down a little bit on the mat, and then we're going to attach it to the end of the tail. I decided that it needed to be a little bit thicker, so I'm just going to add a little bit more to it here. And now we're going to wrap it around the end. I'm going to do like I did with the legs. I'm going to have it overhang the end a little bit so we can wrap it around the end of the tail. Need a little bit more. It's a little thin here on the side, so I'm just pulling up a little bit more of the weight. And I'm gonna just kind of messing it up a little bit because it's going on more the end. And I'll attach it there. Didn't have quite enough overhang. Could have gone a little bit wider when I first did it. Once I'm happy with how that is felted down, I'm just gonna take my scissors and do a little bit of trimming those extra fibers that are hanging off there. And then we're going to get our fox and we're going to attach it to the back. So I'm just deciding here if the size looks good. I'm going to pull apart those loose fibers there. So I can use those to attach it to his backside. Again, if you're having a hard time holding it and felting, you can use a pin to hold it in place. And just use those extra fibers to get it secured. If your tail's too long, you could trim it and do it like we did for the legs. So I'm going to take a little bit of wool here and just wrap the tail here like we did for the legs. This will help to secure it, plus I just wanted to bulk up the end of the tail a little bit more. All right, I'm just gonna make sure that he still stands, that he's not back heavy or anything like that. And next thing we're going to do is make his little ears. So we need a couple small pieces of wool. Just checking to make sure they're about the same size. I'm gonna make a ball here, gonna roll it in my hands. Because we're gonna make another cube shape, or attempt to make a cube shape. So using my other needle to hold it in place while I felt around it. Roll it again in my hands. So I'm just trying to get these so they're about the same size. So I'm just kind of feeling them with my hand, rolling them. These aren't going to be very square. I mean, I do manage to like manipulate them a little bit more once I put them on the head, but as small as they are, it's okay if they're not totally squared. All right, now that I have them done, I'm going to get some of the darker brown out. Do the same thing that we've been doing, felting it on the mat a little bit first. And this is going to go on the tip of the ear. Watch your fingers here because it's very small. So I start on the top and then I'm dragging it down over the side. I don't want it to be a lot, just to show a hint of the darker color on the top. All right, now that we have the little tips on the ends of our ears here, I'm going to take a little bit of white and we're going to add just a little dot. Right. Well, I have tried to poke that down a little bit and give it a little trim. Just kind of like in the center of the ear. This will be the front of the ear. It's kind of right in between the brown, the darker brown and the other color. I'm gonna hold it up to our fox here and see how I like it size-wise. I take a pin, stick it through the center there because it's so small, just to hold it in place for me. See how I like it. And we'll do the other one. Stick a pin in the other one, put it on, and just see, if I like where they're situated. And then we're gonna do the same thing we've done with the legs, just go around the bottom of it. Careful of the pin and get it attached. And there's his ears, just giving it a little bit of a trim. Make sure he stands. I think he was a little front heavy until I got the tail on. Kind of have to manipulate the legs a little bit, but he did end up standing very well. And there is our little Minecraft inspired fox. I'll pop up a picture here at the end so you can see him standing. But he was fun to do. What am I doing here? Oh, just touching up the tail a little bit more. I guess it was just a little bit too thin, so adding a little bit more to the tail. But there he is. I think he came out super cute. My son's girlfriend, who was the recipient of it, absolutely loved it. So have fun making yours, and we'll see you on the next video.